Pledge of Allegiance is a daily part of an American student's morning routine. The words may not mean very much to the children themselves, but the act of reciting the pledge and putting our hands over our hearts every school day is ingrained into our American culture. For some, saluting the flag is part of being an American and has patriotic value. For others, it goes against their very belief system. This is the story of the Gobitis family.
The cleanest queen under the sun is Tide Clean, new Tide Clean.
The year is 1935, and the Great Depression in America just passed its peak 2 years ago. Radio and television media are starting to gain a foothold in American households. However, millions of Americans are still unemployed, and Franklin Roosevelt's administration is passing New Deal legislation as quickly as they can to put Americans back to work and to jumpstart the economy. This won't happen until America enters the Second World War.
Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
FDR tries to keep the country together and calm, but tensions and patriotism are at an all-time high in the years before the Second World War. Minersville, Pennsylvania. A town of about 9,000 people in the 1930s, Minersville acquired its name from the coal industry which boomed in the mid-1800s. The mining boom brought Welsh and Irish immigrants who were predominantly Roman Catholic. The Roman Catholics of Minersville did not particularly get along with the Jehovah's Witnesses that also lived there. Walter Gobitis was a Jehovah's Witness convert that lived in Minersville. As a Jehovah's Witness, Walter Gobitis held the belief that saluting the American flag was a form of idolatry, as outlined in the commandments in the book of Exodus. Walter instructed his children, William and Lillian Gobitis, to refuse to salute the flag. William and Lillian Gobitis, aged 12 and 10 respectively, followed their father's orders. On October 22, 1935, William Gobitis refused to salute the flag. The very next day, Lillian did the same.
But what I remember most vividly was my feeling about who were these people. Now remember, I'm not only Catholic, I'm 16. I'm a member of the one true church. I have a pope who can't make mistakes on matters of faith and morals. Here, I was so grateful that I'm a Catholic and not one of these weird people in this. What goes on in there? Oogly boogly, woo. What if I had been politically conscious, which I hardly was at age 16? I bet I'd have thrown a stone at those people. The nation was coming down on these people. I have a mental picture of little William Gobitis, 3rd grade, holding on to the pocket of his breeches as the teacher tried to pull his arm up. I just can't imagine being in the 3rd grade and being the only kid who won't salute the flag. Kids being beaten in the classroom. Little kids, elementary school. Now salute. Beat him again. You salute that flag, you. Kids stood there. And we beat up those adults as they came into town to solicit. We hated these people. We're at war. Americans are dying in the Pacific, European theater. And these little, wouldn't salute the flag. You cannot overstate the contempt, the loathing that we had for those people.
On November 6, 1935, the Minersville Board of Education passed a regulation that required all teachers and pupils to salute the flag. Immediately after passing the regulation, the board expelled William Gobitis, Lillian Gobitis, and Edmund Wozliewski. The Gobitis family, with the help of the ACLU, took the case to the District Court of Pennsylvania. On June 18th, the District Court decided that the regulation the Board of Education passed deprived William and Lillian of their liberty without due process. The regulation violated the 14th Amendment. The board appealed the case to the Third Circuit Court, where the decision from the district court was upheld. The board again appealed, this time to the Supreme Court, and the case was granted writ of certiorari on March 4, 1940. The case was argued on April 25, 1940, and a decision was reached on June 3, 1940. The Supreme Court reversed the lower courts in an 8-1 decision. Justice Felix Frankfurter wrote the majority opinion, and Justice Harlan wrote the dissent. The majority opinion stressed that national unity was of utmost importance, and that interest in national cohesion was inferior to none in the hierarchy of legal values. Therefore, the school district's interest in creating national unity was enough to allow them to require students to salute the flag. Harlan Stone's dissent read, "The guarantees of civil liberty are but guarantees of freedom of the human mind and spirit, and of reasonable freedom and opportunity to express them. The very essence of the liberty which they guarantee is the freedom of the individual from compulsion as to what he shall think and what he shall say."
And when the Supremes said you got to salute and expelled kids who wouldn't, over 1,000 injuries, made them drink castor oil in Wheeling, West Virginia, put a rope around their neck, marched them around. The indignities and the brutality. The cops would take part in some of these beatings. And the Supremes took it back. 3 years later.
3 years later, in 1943, the Supreme Court overturned the ruling in Minersville School District v. Gobitis in the decision handed down in West Virginia Board of Education versus Barnett. In a 6-3 decision, the court held that it was unconstitutional for schools to compel students to salute the flag. This violated the students' First Amendment rights. Justice Robert Jackson, delivering the majority opinion, said, "The very purpose of a Bill of Rights was to withdraw certain subjects from the vicissitudes of political controversy, to place them beyond the reach of majorities and officials, and to establish them as legal principles to be applied by the courts. One's right to life, liberty, and property, to free speech, a free press, freedom of worship and assembly, and other fundamental rights may not be submitted to vote. They depend on the outcome of no elections."
If there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in religion, nationalism, politics, or any other matters of opinion, nor may he force to confess by word or act a belief therein. You can't force an American to believe anything.